DSiWare was a real mixed bag of games. Just like the Wii Shop channel, Nintendo didn't commit to putting any real games on the DSi shop. There's a huge heap of half games that could have just worked fine on the original DS and a bunch of stinkers. A few games though actually used the DSi's hardware to its advantage, like the camera. What series did Nintendo love using as their guinea pig to test the waters for these console gimmicks? Wario! With the exception of the first two, every WarioWare is used as a ballistic test dummy for whatever new shit Nintendo is into for the week. Twisted tested out motion controls by putting a gyroscope sensor in the cart, making it real fat. Touched tested out creative ways to use the touchscreen controls on the brandy new DS, which had a touchscreen. Smooth Moves returned to motion controls, but instead of a gyroscope, they combined the accelerometer with the Wii sensor bar to really put you in the microgames, with tons of poses and different types of motions. Then there's Snapped. WarioWare games work best when they're on a console early in its life cycle, preferably around the launch. This way they can show off a bunch of creative ways the gimmick of the console can be used in one little package. It's like 200 tech demos all for $60. Wait, why am I selling the game to you? You know what WarioWare is. The point is, they're best when they're showing off the cute new features of a new system. So if Touch was the DS, Smooth Moves was the Wii, what was Snapped? Well, even though the DSi is only seen as a minor upgrade from the DS to most people, hell, some people even consider the DSi a downgrade because you can't play Game Boy Advance games on it anymore. But that's a debate for another day. What you lost in Game Boy games, you gained in a wonderful digital software library of DSiWare, featuring many hits such as Game & Watch Ball, Flashlight. Okay, so maybe the DSi isn't winning any awards for its library, but in true WarioWare fashion, there was a Wario title that came out for download that did what it was supposed to do. Show off a new feature of the new console in a creative tech demo-y fashion. If you couldn't assume from the title, and the many shutter effects I've been playing, WarioWare Snapped is all about the DSi's shiny new camera, which isn't even that new. They made a camera attachment for the original DS, so hypothetically this could run on the original DS. Anyways, WarioWare Snapped! It suffers from being a half game like many DSiWare games. But you may be asking, Nick, what do you mean a half game? Well, tons of DSiWare games were either stripped down versions of physical DS games, or just generally very small games in a series that were missing many key features. For example, take a look at the Express games, specifically Clubhouse Games Express and Brain Age Express. These were literally Brain Age and Clubhouse games chopped up into smaller bits and sold separately. They even called it a little bit of in Japan instead of Express, but I feel like they wanted more Americans to buy them and were being very deceptive by calling it Express. For the second example, we look at Dr. Mario Express, and well, WarioWare too. These are new games, but they're very bare bones. Like, Dr. Mario doesn't even have multiplayer or extra modes like Virus Buster. It's literally just Dr. Mario. We'll talk about what WarioWare is missing later, but let's talk about what it actually has first. It definitely has a title screen, I can give it that much. So, as the plot for any WarioWare game goes, Wario has found a brand new way to get rich. This time, he's opened a theme park called Wario Park, with not one, not two, but 4 roller coasters. These coasters are ran by Mona, Cat and Anna, and Jimmy Fitzgerald Jimothy T, and Wario himself, all represent the microgame collections. So usually in a WarioWare game, there's a little video or exposition explaining a situation before starting the microgames. But you won't find those here. Instead, you can spend 40 minutes trying to get the game to actually recognize you. I'm so serious. This game is extraordinarily horrendous at figuring out where you are. I mean, once you get it, you're in, and it works, but holy fuck, it's difficult. You better hope you don't have walls that match your skin color, because if you do, you're literally invisible to the game. This is the first Nintendo game where your race is actually a gameplay element. Truly revolutionary technology. I never had the game on my DS growing up, but I eventually got it on my 3DS, and I literally was never able to get this game to work as a kid. My lighting was probably too bad, but I gotta imagine there's plenty of other kids who picked up this game and ran into the same issue. It's pretty unlike Nintendo to release stuff that just doesn't work, and I'm surprised they even released it if it was working this badly. Anyways, if, and that's a huge if you can manage to get this thing working, it's essentially a very stripped down WarioWare experience using your camera. And WarioWare games are already tiny as is. You only have 5 microgames per coaster, and you can only play those 5 in order. There's no variation, and unlike WarioWare games, there's no endless either. Which to me is like half the fun of WarioWare, seeing how many microgames you can get through. The games themselves are pretty simple. They're fun, and when they work, they work. They're cute and weird in perfect Wario fashion. I'd say in terms of what they do, you can essentially get the same experience, if not a better experience, from playing Smooth Moves or Move It. And those games are much, much better at conveying the movement. Because that's what the game is. It's not really WarioWare Snapped because you, the player, aren't snapping anything. The camera just tracks your movement, so it's kinda just shitty WarioWare Smooth Moves. Honestly, a camera-style WarioWare game would have worked amazing on the 3DS, with the motion controls and the AR technology. Even the stereoscopic 3D would have made for a really cool WarioWare game. Instead, we got WarioWare Gold, which I'm okay with, because that game is amazing. Back to Snapped. The only perk of playing these subpar games is that at the end of every coaster, you get to see stupid pictures of yourself in different scenes. So I guess, in that aspect, yes, it does quote-unquote snap. Snap stupid pictures of you. But they are kind of funny. This is the highlight of the game to me. Outside of that, there's nothing here. You can't save the movies that it makes at the end, you can't save the pictures to your system, which is so stupid. Why can't I? I should be able to save them. You could do it in Brain Age. And unlike literally every WarioWare game ever, you can't play the games individually, and you're missing all the extra modes like Endless, which you already knew, but it kind of makes sense. There's so few games, and the games themselves don't even use lives like normal, so Endless wouldn't really make sense. But still, no extra toys or gizmos either. Like, that would be perfect for this camera if you want to show off what the camera can do. I was thinking something akin to like the PlayStation 2 iToy, but whatever. I guess if you want to count a separate mode, Cat and Anna's mode is technically 2 players, but it's so fucking hard to get it set up for 1 player, let alone 2 people. Once you close the game, everything resets. You lose your movies, you lose your pictures. It doesn't even save your progress. Everything's available from the get-go anyways. This is such a running theme with DSiWare games, missing so many core features and straight up being a husk of what they should be. Snapped could have been so much more. It's a weird ass game. If you can get it to work, it's kinda fun, but most people don't even know it exists. But if you want to try every WarioWare game, nah, you could skip this one.